Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning po, Prof. Z.
Morning. Welcome to my virtual classroom. Good day, teachers. Good day, everyone, and welcome to Z's virtual classroom. We are already in the fourth week of the classroom blended learning, and this is my first episode in term 3. Term 1 pala. And this is my first episode that I created during the term 1. So therefore, I already met my students. During those first 3 weeks of being together, I would like to think that my students are already conditioned in this blended form of learning, and that we have already established the definition of inclusive education. And so for this fifth episode, I am going to explain an inclusive practice which is called UDL, or Universal Design for Learning. In this episode, I will be presenting some examples of UDL that I used during this blended mode of learning, and also a pre-COVID lesson plan that is UDLized. So let's begin. As a recap, inclusive education, according to DepEd Order 21, Series of 2019, is defined as the inclusiveness of enhanced basic education through the implementation of programs designed to address the physical, intellectual, psychosocial, and cultural needs of learners. Moreover, according to UNCRPD, inclusive education refers to education environments that adapt the design and physical structures, teaching methods, and curriculum, as well as the culture, policy, and practice of education environments so that they are accessible to all students without discrimination. Please remember that placing students with disabilities within mainstream classes without these adaptations does not constitute inclusion. So, how will we know if we are already doing inclusion? Well, UNESCO made mention that you have to check on these 3 things. 1 is presence, next is participation, and third is achievement. To obtain those 3 requirements, we can practice accommodation and modification in mainstream classrooms. Accommodation means changing how the students learn, while modification is changing what the students learn. Both accommodations and modifications are only done when there is disclosure of disability. If there is none, then we can do universal design for learning. So what is UDL? UDL refers to the design of instructional materials and activities to make the content information accessible to all children. So UDL has 3 elements. The first one is multiple representation. The second one is multiple means of action and expression. And the third one is multiple means of engagement. Let's first deal with the multiple means of representation. So representation means having varied ways of presenting your lesson. For example, you can go multisensorial by using infographics, videos, audio recordings, podcasts, and readings instead of plain texts. In the toolkit, these are my examples. Now, these are the contents of the USB flash drive our students have. It consists of 11 folders. 1 is reference, and 1 to 10 would be weeks 1 up to 10. It contains the PowerPoint presentation in each folder. There are videos that I created for vlog, and infographics and movies that they are required to watch in a particular week. Toolkit was also created by Dr. Serbo and Professor Calapardo and was given to our students before Term 1 started. Here, you can see our worksheets. These are 5 worksheets that are to be accomplished by students at the end of the term. The same materials are also found in the EPNU of the students. Now, how do we do action and expression? So action and expression is the way in which students will give their responses to us. An example of this is allowing creative output, transforming rubrics, and engaging students metacognitively. In my submission, wala akong timeliness, so zero timeliness for a criteria in the rubric. And as long as they will submit the material to me, then I will not deduct any points. Because it's pandemic, so there are working students and there are students who are tasked to do the chores at home. And of course, at the university, we do not grade attendance. So if they are not there during the synchronous meetings, then there are no deducted points for that. I asked them to write on their toolkit, take a picture of that, and then send it to me. I also have Google Drive that is adjustable or accessible, and then they could answer their worksheets from there. So there are varied ways on creating the toolkit or on taking or answering the worksheet. I present a template to them, but they can have their own format if they want to. Aside from this, we can also use online applications such as Padlet.com and Kahoot to know what they have learned from the week. What defines disability as caused by the barriers in the society, such as negative attitudes of people who discriminate those with disabilities? In my class, I do this per group, which is facilitated and monitored by their class manager of the week. Group A. Another example, I also solicit answers from the group for me to know if they comprehended the topics well. Example, ano ang exclusion? At the end of each week, my students are also asked to take the survey of learning, which will rate their understanding of the lesson from 1 to 4. The results of the survey will help me decide if I needed to go back to the lesson for more emphasis. Finally, we have multiple means of engagement. I have 3 ways in doing the class. I have independent study, a group study, or small group discussion, and I have the synchronous class. So there are 3 practices or 3 times that you can learn the topic of the week. Which, by the way, the topic or the entire topics in the toolkit are only the essential topics expected to be learned by our students. So hindi siya yung isang buong syllabus that we usually do pre-COVID. In my toolkit as well, I see to it that there is only 1 submission per week. I also have a project which is called a story vignette that is developed simula first week. Ito ay nire-report din as an accomplishment of my week manager.
I'm the Group A's week manager for week.
The leader of week 3 of Group F.
We are the Group 8.
So, kami po yung Group 4. Yung agenda po namin this week.
Every one of us were able to answer the survey for week 2.
And the second one is we have discussed the lessons and shared reference materials, not only the week 3 lessons, but we also recap about the lessons we had from week 1 to week 3.
We had the recap of the previous lesson and finished the readings and videos. Second, we are complete during our small group discussion held days before the synchronous meeting, and all of us submitted the chapter test 1. So,
we were also able to discuss on what the focus of our story vignette project should be.
Last Monday, we have low internet connection and the noise that the rain can produce and other and different factors.
Insights, teachers have a lot of different approaches they can choose from, so they are able to make the students more engaged in learning in the classroom.
Suggestions po namin, ma'am. Videos po.
that's all po. Thank you.
That's good. Okay, that is so smooth. Let's have Group B. At this point, I will be presenting a sample UDL lesson plan with parts of the following elements: lesson opening, teacher input, guided practice, independent practice, and closure. The subject is Grade 3 Science, Ecosystems Day 1. These are the K-12 standards. The teacher made objectives. As a feature of UDL, the assumed types of learners according to learning style, according to academic ability, and according to behavioral concerns. Therefore, the development of this lesson plan is based on these assumed types of learners. These are some of the materials and types of assessment. In the succeeding slides, you will be seeing these logos to present multiple means of representation, action and expression, and engagement.
Pupils will be asked to share via illustration or discussion their dream vacation, destination, mode of transportation to be used, food choices, hotel accommodations, companion, etc. With the down to check these pairs while paying particular attention to pupils with difficulty and those who are not doing the task. Pairs will be asked to present their answers to the class while the teacher lists down legibly on the board the different basic needs. So the teacher then asks everyone to read aloud the listed words on the board, followed by smaller group, by pair, and then individually.
A picture of the ecosystem will be presented via LCD projector or TV monitor, while the same picture will be distributed to those with difficulty seeing from projected images. Everyone will be asked to share what they see from the picture and then later on will come up with a definition of the ecosystem.
The teacher will present 3 pictures. Each picture represents one component of the ecosystem: producers, consumers, and decomposers. 2 pupils in pairs while they quietly figure out one difference among the components. The pupils are encouraged to speak and share their thoughts using the medium of language they are most comfortable with and is understood by their classmates. The teacher will present travel guides, pictures, and blogs of Boracay, Philippines to the class, which will be followed by a discussion about their observation about the place. The teacher will also present why Boracay is a well-known destination in the world. After the discussion, the teacher will present an article and a news flash on the closure and redevelopment of Boracay in the Philippines in the year 2018. The teacher then solicits pupils' reaction as to its closure, redevelopment, and asks them why the government did such action, making an emphasis to human malpractices in damaging the ecosystem. In the independent practice, 4 learning corners are created in the classroom, where the pupils are given the choice to work alone or with a group. Each corner has the following tasks. Number 1, draw a poster or infographics that suggest good practices in maintaining the ecosystem. Number 2, create a news report or a skit that presents the harmful effects of human practices in the ecosystem. For the closure po, the students will write or share their pledge as they complete the phase.
Now choose one among this list of types of learners and identify the part of the lesson plan these behavioral concerns were catered. So there, I hope you learned a lot from this episode. Thank you and continue to be a blessing to one another.